everyone, and welcome to my very first VR. And this is a VR to Simon Harrison at the Hermit's Cave. Kai's here, but he wants to look out of the window because that's what he does best. He looks out the window and he makes sure we're safe and there's no cats in the garden and no robbers. No one daring to walk past. Because if they do, they're going to get a very loud bark, aren't they, Kai? Very loud bark. Yes. Anyway, back to the video. Yeah, VR to Simon at the Hermit's Cave, Simon Harrison. And he's done a VR. And the VR is #AllAboutTarot 2022. So let's go through the prompts. Okay. So the very first prompt is your first deck and how you encountered it. Okay. Well, much like Simon, I am of the same era, I would say. And I also watched Tales of the Unexpected and that revolving carousel with the tarot cards on it, which I later learned was the IJJ Swiss. So that was sort of my first encounter, I would say. And I loved Vincent Price films, you know, those gothic horror films. Oh, I was just fascinated by them. There was one, I don't know if Simon remembers this episode, there was one episode of Tales of the Unexpected where a woman wished, she had a wish that would come true. I mean, it's so long ago, I'm trying to remember this, but it really stuck in my head. And her wish was that her husband would live forever. And her husband had died, he'd actually died. So she wished for him to come back to life and to live. And so her wish was granted. But what she didn't realise was his body had already been embalmed. So he wakes up from the dead in an embalmed body, screaming in agony. So I suppose the takeaway from that is be careful what you wish for. So yeah, that one stuck in my head. But anyway, yeah, Tales of the Unexpected and the revolving carousel. Also, I always loved 70s, 80s music, and I'm talking rock music, rocky chick music. So Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I'm originally from the Midlands, so are these bands, and like I used to go to gigs a lot. In fact, my husband was a guitarist. We won't go there. Another story, but yes. Yeah, so I was heavily into music. I still am, really. And a lot of those artists, they also were into the occult, as it was called then, the occult, so it's dark arts and everything. Aleister Crowley, all the rest of it. I mean, there's a track by Black Sabbath about Aleister Crowley. Anyway, that's a side road, but I suppose, or is it? Because this is how my interest was piqued, really. It was through music, originally. And then I saw some images of the Thoth Tarot, or Thoth Tarot, however you want to say it. And I loved the art. So another avenue that I went down was studying with the Open University, and I did an Arts Foundation course. And back then, the Arts Foundation, it's changed now, they changed the content every so often. But when I did it, it was on the Victorian era. The painting side of it, the art side of it, was all about the Victorians and how their paintings weren't just paintings. Everything had a meaning. So even, you know, like stained glass windows, you could read stained glass windows as a story because, you know, people back then, not everybody could read and write, would they? No. So they were taught their morals, how they should live their life through art, really. And so you'd have, there's a famous picture of a woman on a great, you know, grieving over a gravestone, and you think, oh, poor woman, someone she's loved died, a husband or whatever. But it turns out, because of the imagery and the different things in there, it could be read properly, and we wouldn't read it like that now, but it would be read properly as she was the other woman. It wasn't her husband, it was somebody else's husband, and she was a harlot. She was a naughty, naughty, naughty girl. There's another one where there's a woman sitting on a guy's lap while he's playing, what's he doing? I don't know if he's sat in a chair or playing a piano or something, but anyway, another harlot. So in those Victorian times, they would have known that just by looking at the paintings. So the paintings weren't just something to admire, they were a moral message, they were a story. And so I've always loved art, loved art. In the Birmingham Museum, there are some pre-Raphaelites. I love pre-Raphaelites. Aidan Turner in the series of the pre-Raphaelites, well, the Romantics, I think it was called. Oh. Anyway, that's going down another side path. But yes, so coming back to the question, which was, let me see, it was your first deck and how you encountered it. The one I actually first used, as in properly worked with, was the Osho Zen. Yeah. And I think, again, that's purely because of the artwork. The artwork, you don't even need the guidebook, which is fortunate for me because somebody I was with at the time was scared of tarot and all that sort of thing. He was very superstitious, and yeah, the guidebook ended up on the fire, but I managed to save the cards. So yeah, needless to say, that relationship didn't last. The first deck I really learnt tarot with, the Osho Zen Tarot. A lot of people say they can't read with this deck, but I think it's quite easy. I found it quite accessible. I bought another copy because, as I said, the other book got destroyed. But you don't really need the book, I don't think. I'll just show you what I mean about the imagery. I think it's amazing. I mean, speaks volumes, doesn't it? Boxed in, clinging to the past. It's boxed you in, you can't go forward. I find them so easy. Look, mind, the mechanics of the mind. And all the chimneys with the smoke coming out, is like, you need release, don't you? You need release from the mind chatter. Moment to moment, enjoying yourself. This, one of my favourite cards, Adventure. Look at that. Oh, that little girl going into the rainbow. Gorgeous. I could go on and on about this deck. I love it. Suppression, look at that. It's just speaks volumes. Isolation. That's quite relevant at the moment, isn't it? Yep, we won't go there. So yeah, that's my Osho Zen, the deck I really first connected to, based really on the imagery. Trust. Just trust and go for it. Yeah. Osho Zen. So yeah, that's sort of how I came, I suppose, in a roundabout way to the tarot. It wasn't directly in, it was through other medium, through art and music and culture, really. Books. I mean, I'm an avid reader of books since I was dot. My mum taught me to read when I was 3, so you know, I've always been head in books. That was me. Still is, actually. Yeah, we won't go there, will we? That's just a little selection behind me, a tiny selection. Me and books. Put me in a bookshop with a cup of coffee and I won't come out for hours. That's me and books. So yeah, that's that prompt. Okay, next prompt is your last deck and how your tastes have changed since your first. Have they changed? Well, my latest deck is the Unfolding Path Tarot, and that sort of zooms in on the Rider-Waite-Smith artwork. So yeah, this is the latest deck that I've bought. As you can see, the images are all quite close up and colour coded. So there you've got pentacles like a auburn colour. You've got swords like a blue colour, sword of a blue colour. And we've got like a turquoise colour for the cups, red for the wands. And they've all got like this white space around them as well. So they're Rider-Waite-Smith based. I just love that High Priestess, the pomegranate. But this is not a review, I'm doing a review of this deck. But yeah, this is my latest acquisition. I'm not sure I'm going to work with it. You need to know the structure of tarot, I think, to actually work with that deck. See, Kai's looking out the window, he's on guard. But we'll see, we'll see. And I don't know if my tastes have changed really. I'm still into the artwork. The artwork is everything to me, everything. You can read to your heart's content, but if you don't connect with the art, it's mental. It's not. I need to feel an emotion. I need to feel a connection, and just learning the meanings, you know, doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't. I have to actually have that imagery, and different decks give obviously different takes. Yeah, and it's what you connect to. Some decks I just can't. Some decks it's like, wow. But we'll see with that Unfolding Path Tarot. That's a work in progress. My favourite at the moment, the one I'm working with exclusively really at the moment, is Poppies. Poppies Everyday Enchantment. I've got a whole playlist of that if anyone's interested in my study of it. And yeah, Poppy. Yeah. Anyway, love that woman. But I can connect to that deck because it is every day, because it is something you would see, I would see every day, you know. It's the Sun card. The Sun card with those houses, those terraced houses and the path that goes through it. I lived in one of those houses. Not the house that she painted, obviously, but one of those types of houses, a terraced house. Well, my parents' last house, and no, not the house before, but the last house that they had was a terraced house. And I know what the inside of those houses are like. I lived in there, you know, it's personal. So there's that connection that you need. I need, I don't know anybody else, but that's a connection that I need to a deck to actually be able to read it and work with it and connect to it. I think also, yes, they're more accessible, more relatable. So that's why, I mean, I still love the Thoth, don't get me wrong. And it's just got so many associations, so many levels. That's a real lifetime study deck and one I will always work with. I want to do the Deacon Walk, T. Susan Chang book, 36 Secrets. I'm going to do that Deacon Walk. So yes, but the Sola Busca. Now the artwork on the Sola Busca, love it. I mean, that just appeals to my art senses. Whether I'd be able to read with it, I don't know. But yeah, it's completely different to the Everyday Enchantment or any sort of modern deck. It's comical, it's funny, it's quirky. Yeah, so Sola Busca, museum quality. Look at this deck. Tarot masterpiece of Italian Renaissance. It's beautiful. Show what I mean about some of the cards. get it? Okay. Oh, the aesthetic of these are just balm to my soul. I love them. Love them, love them, love them. Slippy though. See, slippy. Slippy cards. Pet peeve. Oh, so quirky, so funny. They're quite a strange size as well. So yeah, look at that. Oh. Aren't they amazing? Yes, and my beloved Sola Busca Tarot with slippy cardstock. Osho. There we go. So, why tarot? Why tarot? The art. It's all back to the art again. Art is everything for me. The art. It's got a structure. You can use it as a jumping off point. If you've learned the structure and you know the way it's supposed to work, the associations with the numbers, the suits, the elements, all of that. There's your structure. There's your jumping off point. So you can feel safe knowing that it has a framework. Oracle decks, I like oracle decks, but they're more as a clarifier, I would say. I can use them as a clarifier. I can use them personally if, I've got a personal thing that I want to talk about with my cards and journal with. Then I'm more likely to use an oracle deck for that. With oracle decks, every deck has its own thing, its own, like you get oracle decks about plants and herbs, which is great if you're into plants and herbs, if you're into gardening, if you're a hedge witch. My grandmother was a hedge witch. My mother was brilliant at gardening. I am useless. But anyway, I'm not going to look out of the garden because I am useless. Anyone know a good gardener? I could do with one. Anyway, so yeah, and then you can get like oracle decks that are based around crystals. You see what I'm saying? They've all got their own, what's the word? Genre. They've all got their own genre. Whereas tarot is tarot. Yes, you can get different themes. So you can get pop culture themes, you can get old worldy themes, you can get art themes. We know you can get cat themes, dog themes. Yeah, you can get dog themes, all sorts, but based around a tarot structure. Whereas oracle decks, they just free for all. And if it appeals to you, then that's the one for you, isn't it? So that's why tarot, it's just too diverse, I think. I like to know what, I like a jumping off point rather than just, yeah, there's the oracle deck, there's the guidebook. I'm not going to learn a guidebook for every oracle deck I've got. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You couldn't do it. And I don't think it'd be very professional myself to actually be doing an oracle reading for someone and keep looking at the book. No, that doesn't appeal to me, actually. So, also, you can do so much with the tarot deck, can't you? I mean, just think about the year card. One of the very first books I ever bought, and it's an old book. Here's this one, Tarot for Yourself, Mary K. Greer. I went through this book religiously. It's brilliant, brilliant book. There's a new version of it that's published, but this is the one I had, which is, oh, let's have a look when this one was published. 1984. Yep, 1984. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Anyway, next one, pet peeves. It's cardstock. The main one is cardstock. One of my favourite decks is the True Heart Tarot by Rachel True. I love that deck. It's such a brilliant reader. The cardstock is like paper. It's just like paper. And I want to use it. I really want to use it. I'd love to use it with clients. But I'm going to have to buy about 10 copies because they're not going to last. They're just not going to last. The guidebook for that actually is a brilliant guidebook, by the by. As I was saying, I love this deck. This is the True Heart. Look at that. I suppose there's worse, but that is really, really thin. I'm just, gorgeous deck. I'm just so scared of damaging it. So yeah, thin cardstock, pet peeve. Another pet peeve is slippery cards. You know, they fly all over the place. Enchanted Soul, that's one tarot that does that. It's beautiful, beautiful deck. Cardstock, you just can't control it. Slippy cards, can't stand slippy cards. But then again, some of the matte cards are really difficult to shuffle. I mean, that Everyday Enchantment, it is difficult to shuffle. I've got to admit. I love the deck, but it's hard to shuffle. Tarot with the Enchanted Soul. Beautiful. Yasmin Westwood. Really, really beautiful cards. However, massive, gilt-edged and slippy. And the gilt edge hurts my hands when I try to shuffle it. It really hurts my hands. But yeah, it's a gorgeous deck. It's got keywords on it as well. So brilliant for beginners. Or if you just want to make like sentences using the keywords. Or find which one pops out to you. Absolutely beautiful. That Three of Swords. Blue instead of red. But yeah, really, really slippy as. Slippy, 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 slippy cards. Pet peeve. And my other pet peeve, shipping costs. Should we go there? Shipping costs. What's with shipping costs? Why are they so high? There's some amazing decks from America. Shipping costs from America to the UK. I can't. I just can't. I can't. I have. I can't anymore. Going into a recession, guys. Can't do it. Okay, let's go on to the next prompt. I'm not going to rant. Anyway, next prompt is favourite tarot spread. Okay. This is a book I bought quite a long time ago. All about tarot spreads. Back in... It was published in 1999. So it has sort of pictorial spreads. They're quite nice. Where am I? I often ask myself that question. Where am I? Anyway, enough of the jokes. So yeah, there's lots of different spreads in here. We even have astrological spreads. There's mine. There's mine, Sagittarius. There we go. This is my current social environment. This is my education up to now. This is my religion, my belief, and also my self-righteousness. My journeys in the outer world, my journeys in the inner world, my search for meaning. It is quite a nice book, and the background images, a lot of them are tarot cards you might recognise. So anyway, yes, that's no, I cannot, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce those names. But there's the ISBN. Okay. Illustrated tarot spreads. I developed this spread myself. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So we start with situation. We ask how we got there. We ask what we've learned from that situation. That's what we've gained from it, because we usually do gain something from each situation. And then ask for the next step. And I can always clarify that with further cards. Any of those positions I can clarify with further cards. So I find that one really useful. This next one I tend to use as a daily draw, and this was from the lovely Lisa Papis. Well, I don't know how you pronounce her name, but she's an amazing teacher. Her channel is, I'll just check it out, it's really, really good. But with this one, again, quite obvious, a 3-card spread, easy to do every morning, and I find it very useful. And then finally, this one is from Racine Artist at Elmin 513. And this is a nice one to use with oracle decks. So I always use the Lantern Oracle for this one, for shadow work. It's a really good deck for shadow work. Then you can use any sort of tarot deck for the practical steps, and finish off with a goddess card affirmation so you feel good at the end of the spread. So yeah, those are the tarot spreads I use most often. So this is the book 36 Secrets, The Decanic Journey Through the Minor Arcana of the Tarot by T. Susan Chang. So it goes through astrologically the minor arcana. And you can go all the way through the year using this. It's quite fascinating. So for this I've got some tiny cards. There's some tiny Rider-Waite-Smith and some tiny Thoth, because room, always an issue. And then the astrology associations that go with it, with this little astrology deck. Well, it's not little, it's quite big, isn't it? But yeah, so you can see that it's got all the keywords for the astrology sign and the glyph. So that's the Decanic Journey. Another nice way to mark the seasons of the year is by following the Wheel of the Year, and you can do that with the Wildwood Tarot. This is a book that you can buy separately by Alison Cross. Here she is, Alison Cross. And yeah, so it's like wherever you are, it gives you the dates and it gives you the corresponding cards for that season. So that's a really nice way of doing it as well. It's got some questions to journal on as well. So yeah, the year in the Wildwood. Beautiful imagery on the Wildwood. Oops, just show you some images. Probably all seen this anyway. It's my newest edition. I play them every so often. Yeah. Wildwood Tarot. My normal tarot rituals, what I will do when I get a deck. First of all, I'll go through the deck and look at each and every card. Always do that, look at each and every card. and see how they line up with the knowledge I've got and the imagery, if it talks to me. Robert M. Place. Can't beat Robert M. Place. He's amazing. So yeah, so I'll look through all the cards and I'll use incense and I'll pass the cards through the incense to take away any negativity. This is sandalwood, one of my favourite smells. I love sandalwood. And I'll light one of these and I'll pass each and every card through the smoke. I will carry on clearing by using sound. And I always use these. Love these, had them many years. You can probably tell by the state of them. I will ding them a bit further from the microphone. Hold up. Just to give you an idea. These contain all the precious metals, so that will clear them, and I tend to do that around 3 times around the card. Then I'll use a crystal wand and I'll go anti-clockwise and try and draw out any negativity that way, slowly bringing it out. And when I've done that 3 times, I'm holding it up. When I do that 3 times, then I want to put some positive energy in. So then I'll go clockwise and imbue it with energy. And I'm usually visualizing when I'm doing that as well. So that's clearing, charging, and then I'll knock the deck to wake it up, usually again 3 times. I've got a thing about 3s, doing things in 3s. So yeah, that's what I'll do. And then I'll keep shuffling it and I'll just hold it and handle it and keep looking at it and imbue it with my energy and find something to put it in that's going to protect the cards. Depends what the cards are. I found these on Amazon. I'll just show you these. I've got a pack of 10 tins. And what I like about these is obviously you can see your deck through the window, and it keeps them dust free and protected. If you put them in right, and they fit a standard tarot card size. Oh yeah, that's my rituals. As you might be able to see, Kai is back in the window on guard, so he's on duty. That's the way it is. Okay, so let's have a look at the next prompt, which is: how do you use tarot? Introspection or divination, etc. I just went out of frame, didn't I? Sorry, I'll turn the car. What shall I do? Shall I come over here? Sit on the dog's tail? Oh, Kai! Your tail. Hey, Kai. Yeah, how do I use tarot? I use tarot in a number of ways. I use it as guidance, advice. Say I'm having a tower experience. I would take the tower card as the significator, and then I would use the rest of the deck as answers to questions that I ask given the tower card, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, this is the situation, this is my tower moment. What do I need to know? Sort of, what's my next step? What can I learn from this? You know, those sort of questions. So I also use it in what's called parts therapy, because I am qualified therapist, many therapies over the years, one of which is parts therapy. And this is where you bring forward a part of yourself next door neighbours having a moment, and we've got a motorbike. There could be some noise. I will try and carry on regardless. Okay, parts therapy. So say I wanted to do exercise, then I'd bring forward a part of myself that likes exercise. Hard to find that part, but she's there. Right, I'll try and carry on, and I'll edit that. I'll edit out bits that I have to edit out. Okay, yeah, parts therapy. So yeah, I can use tarot that way. So if I've got a situation that needs an Emperor energy, then I can bring out the Emperor in myself and go, today, or for this amount of time, I need to be an Emperor. I need to have Emperor's energy, the Emperor archetype, to deal with situation. So you wouldn't bring out the Fool in that situation. You wouldn't bring out, say, the High Priestess. They would be for different situations. So I always think we're like a crystal with many facets to us. So to one person we're a friend, to another person we're a lover, to another person, actually we can be a friend and a lover. That's probably a bad example. You can be a sister and a friend to somebody, but then when you're in the workplace, you're somebody else in the workplace. I hope this is making sense, but we are different people in different situations is what I'm trying to say. So we can use the archetypes, or I use the archetypes in the tarot to bring forward those parts of me that need to be there in certain situations. So that's one way that I use the tarot. How else? Journaling. It's really good for shadow work, journaling. Other ways of using the tarot. It is really self-reflection, isn't it? Shadow work, automatic writing, taking the brain out of the equation and just writing. So you just look at the card, look at the image and write. Take that brain out. Amazing what you can find. Yeah, so that's that prompt. My significator card is the Queen of Wands, and that's just based on my astrological sign, my age and my gender. I'm not really a cat person. I prefer dogs, as is probably obvious. But yeah, it's just based on that really. My most expensive deck? Simon, really? You want me to go through all my decks and try and figure out which one I spent the most money on? Not going to happen, and not going to be admitted to. So that's that. I'll show you this one though. This was an indulgence this year. I've always wanted a Bubba Studio deck. I'd really like the Bohemian Gothic, to be fair, but that won't be available for a couple of years. But so I got Victorian Romantic. I bought the guidebook as well. Nice wooden box it comes in. Yeah, cold stamped. Will I use it? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I will use it, to be fair. I don't know if it's just an investment deck, maybe. I don't know if you can see the gold foiling, maybe. Turn it to the light. But it might be just a little bit too beautiful to use. So that's the one I'll admit to. Moving on. The unicorn deck. The deck I would love. Absolutely love, and I don't think it's ever going to happen, is the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot by Victorian. Now I've got the sketch box edition, which is like a sepia toned one, but the colour version would be lovely. Never mind. So as I said, my unicorn deck is Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. I've got some Victorian decks. So the sketchbook edition of the Bonestone is this one, which is what it says. It's the sketches. Ooh. There we go. Sketches This is really thin cardstock again. And slippy. It's all the things I dislike about cardstock. So that's a sort of the sketches for the Bonestone, which are beautiful, but would be even more beautiful if they were the colour edition. So maybe one day. So there we go, that's my sketchbook edition of the Bonestone. But just to show you the difference between Anna's art that's black and white or sepia with the colour. This is her Oracle deck, which is Oracle of Echoes. This is the second edition, I think. I've got both. I'm a little bit of a fan of Anna Turian's art. So the difference between sepia and colour is immense, in my opinion. You can express things with colour, can't you? The Tarot of the Abyss, the other tarot that she did, is black and white. And this one, just to show you. This guidebook. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. I just wish it was colour. See how slippy they are, they're falling on the floor. Looks a bit Baba Yaga, doesn't it? Yeah, so that compared to her colour work. Well, make your own mind up. One day. I keep saying that, don't I? One day. Next prompt. What's the most important lesson tarot has taught you? I think for this one, I'm going to go back to my Open University art study that I was talking about before. I mean, that opened my eyes to how to read an image, and the tarot has just furthered that experience. It's also taught me how to access my shadow self. None of us like looking at it, do we? But tarot has taught me how to do that in a safe way, by turning off my brain, by just looking at the imagery and writing in my journal. It helps me to access my subconscious and to deal with things. There are things in my past that aren't good. Experiences I've had that really weren't good, and it's hard to look at them. But by using a piece of card with an image, I can tap into those parts that I don't really want to look at. I can switch my mental, what's the word? You see, when you do it, you can't think logically. It's such an experience. You can't think of it logically. You just have to look at the card, see the trigger, and write it. Just write it, and you'd be surprised. I just totally surprised about what comes out on the page. And I couldn't do it any other way. I can't think of any other way I could do that. I can then reread if I want to, or I can leave it alone because it's gone. It's out there, it's done. I can come back to it at a later stage when I'm in a mindset where I can read it and not be triggered. Yeah, that's what tarot's taught me. How to access nasty stuff. Okay, finally my dinner party guests. Well, my guest of honour, sorry I keep looking out the window, but the neighbour. It's very distracting for me and the dog. My guest of honour would be David Bowie. And you think, David Bowie? What's he got to do with tarot? That man was a genius. That man was a hero of mine. He was so intelligent. He knew so much. He was in... Oh dear. I will edit this bit out. My guest of honour would be David Bowie. David Bowie, an absolute genius. And he knew about tarot. He knew about the occult secrets. He knew about Crowley. He knew everything. And I followed his career right from when I was at school, right from Ziggy Stardust all the way through. And he was so intelligent. He was so knowing. He was so mega. What a guest at a dinner party. I mean, you just want the night to go on forever, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want it to end. That'd be amazing. My two other guests, of course, Pixie, of course, Pamela Coleman-Smith. I would love her take on how tarot has progressed since she started the whole picture thing. I wonder what she'd think. I'm sure she'd be proud. I mean, so many artists, it's such a common thing for like prolific artists weren't in their day. They ended up destitute. They had no money. I mean, they had a very colourful lifestyle, most of them, but a lot of them ended up with nothing. And she's buried not far from here. She's in Bude. I'm in Cornwall. Oh, Kai's given up going to sleep on the windowsill. Yeah, she's buried not far from here. So there are connections to where I live with Pixie. So yeah, I'd like her. She'd be a fascinating guest as well. Her experiences and the things she saw, the people she knew. She knew quite a lot of famous people in her day. I think you can maybe tell I'm a little bit obsessed with the Victorian era. And then finally, Mary K. Greer. Hello, Mary. So Mary, my Mary, she's the one that really got me into tarot, because before this book, I couldn't find any relatable tarot information, anything I could actually use. I mean, I sort of came to it through numerology, studying. I started really with numerology, and then I progressed from there because it was, her name is, I'll insert a picture. But yeah, that lady got me into numerology. She also wrote tarot books, and I tried with those and they were a bit dry. Eileen Connolly, that's who it was. So Tarot, the complete handbook for the Apprentice is the first one. Second one for the Journeyman, volume 2, and the third is the Master. I never got to the Master, never got to it. So those were the 3 books, and you can see it's like little cards. Yeah, I didn't really get along with it. I tried really hard with these, but I don't know, I gave up, basically. I gave up. But yeah, those are the 3 I sort of started with, apart from Mary K. Greer's Tarot for Yourself, which is the one that I really, really enjoyed. Those were my first books, and then I got this. Back in the early 1980s, this. I mean, I know there's more versions of this. I think this one's 1984. There's a prolific year, isn't it? 1984. George Orwell. So, yeah, Mary, and I'd like to thank her. Thank you, Mary, thank you. I know there's a lot of, whoa! Kai, I know there's a lot of prolific writers out there, many I really, really admire. But this was the lady that first gave me access into the system, into tarot, and into how to make it personal. She brought it to life for me, and I am forever grateful to Mary K. Greer. Thank you, Mary. Homage to Mary K. Greer. So yeah, so that's my little VR to Simon Harrison at the Hermit's Cave, and thank you for the opportunity to do this. I've never done a VR before. In fact, I'm so new to all this YouTube stuff, I'm probably getting it all wrong. I haven't got equipment, I've just got a mobile phone, I'm in my bedroom. But hey ho, you use what you got, don't you? It's all about the community, and I love the tarot community. So thank you everyone for putting videos out there. You're all my teachers and my virtual friends. So anyway, until the next one, bye from Cornwall, bye from Kai, bye from me.